Live, where news comes first. This is ABC-7 with breaking news.
Right now, you are looking live at the only migrants remaining near the border wall on the Juarez side after 2 days of large groups breaking through the barbed wire. These migrants that you see right now are camping along the Rio Grande, and it is a very different scene from just a few hours ago.
And here is what we are talking about. You're looking at video from our news partners at Channel 44 in Ciudad Juarez. You can see dozens of migrants and the National Guard trying to control the situation. It is video from yesterday, but video from today of the same thing happening is also circulating on social media.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for ABC 7 at 6. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Paul Cicala.
And now we want to show you a map of the area of the border wall where all of this has been happening. This is across from Riverside Elementary near Escarete Park.
And we have complete coverage of this story. We have reporters on both sides of the border.
And we want to start with ABC7's Heriberto Perez. He joins us live now from Juarez. Eddie.
Good evening, Paul. Stephanie, these migrants eventually took down this portion of the fence that is right behind me. As you said yesterday and today, Texas National Guard soldiers replaced this fence earlier this afternoon. And guys, this area looked far different for what we are seeing right now just a couple of hours ago. I want you to see, as you said, Stephanie, a small group of migrants camping along the Rio Grande on the U.S. side of the border.
What we witnessed today was a group of about 500 migrants that turned themselves in here in BSI 36.
U.S. Border Patrol agent Orlando Marrero Rubio also told us migrants that keep arriving at the border are following instructions from social media and from transnational criminal organizations. According to Agent Marrero Rubio, they are giving them the false hope and false information of crossing into the U.S. through here.
They're getting extorted by the criminal organizations out of their money with a promise of a safe passage.
U.S. Border Patrol urges migrants that want to come to the U.S. legally and claim asylum to go through the ports of entry and using the CBP One app, because migrants expose themselves to the dangers of crossing the border, such as the border wall, the water canals, and the river, among others. Agent Marrero Rubio also told me in March they are averaging about 921 encounters daily in El Paso sector. This is an increase compared to the start of 2024. All the migrants that were encountered today were transported to a processing facility in El Paso to face consequences under Title 8, which is the federal government's authority to apply the law to anyone crossing into the U.S. illegally. And Paul, Stephanie, today I also reached out to the Texas Military Department for comment and to learn more about yesterday and today's events relating migrants that were storming the fence right behind me in front of the border wall. But we didn't hear back in time for this newscast. Reporting live from the U.S.-Mexico border, Heriberto Perez, ABC-7.
Thank you, Eddie. And we want to show you this video. This video was recorded today by a crew from the New York Post. They were on assignment. And as you can see, this is similar to what Channel 44 captured yesterday. He was saying that National Guard troops were attempting to push back men hoping to be admitted into the U.S. when the crowd grew impatient and came forward. You could see them at some points grabbing onto the fence, breaking through the barbed wire. Hundreds of migrants were seen being loaded onto buses and vans after today's commotion. ABC7's Sam Harrison joins us live from the U.S. side of the border wall. Sam.
Stephanie, where I'm standing is where those buses that were taking migrants away were. That area is now empty. Those migrants now heading to Customs and Border Protection processing centers. ABC7 received a statement from CBP, and they told us that the migrants, as Heriberto mentioned, will be processed under Title 8, and that protocol calls for strict penalties, including possible 5 and possible 10-year bans on reentry for those deported. Now, let's take a look at the video I captured earlier from the scene, just about 3 hours ago along the border wall. You can see several migrants, what looked like young men, being loaded to a Border Patrol unit here in the Lower Valley. Eventually, the unit drove off to take the migrants to a CBP processing center, as I mentioned. Other migrants were also seen being put into a large tour bus-style vehicle and eventually taken away by federal agents. I spoke with a New York Post reporter who was on scene when the tension boiled over. Her video gaining traction online. We showed it to you at the top of the report. She told me what she saw this morning.
So when they were being pushed back and started realizing that that was their fate, they started to become more and more agitated, yelling at our cameras, yelling at the Texas National Guard, which there were only a few down here, so they were completely outnumbered.
Also, in the statement that we received from CBP earlier this afternoon, they said that agents did prioritize women and children in both transportation and processing. Reporting from the U.S.-Mexico border, I'm Sam Harris-Simowitz, ABC-7.
Thank you for that update, Sam. And Customs and Border Protection issued this statement saying, in part, quote, "There are consequences to crossing the border illegally, and CBP continues to enforce United States immigration laws. Individuals and families without a legal basis to remain in the U.S. are subject to removal and are subject to a minimum 5-year ban on reapplying for admission and potential criminal prosecution if they subsequently re-enter without authorization. No one should believe the lies of the smugglers. Individuals and families without a legal basis to remain in the United States will be removed." And Texas Governor Abbott, who's behind the installation of the barbed wire, also posted this on social media. He said, quote, "About the surge of illegal immigrants in El Paso, the Texas National Guard and the Department of Public Safety quickly regained control and are redoubling the razor wire barriers. DPS is instructed to arrest every illegal immigrant involved for criminal trespass, destruction of property."